Thanks so much for tuning in. Tonight we're going to be talking about the evolutionary progress, the new age, evolve or die. The pursuit of a new age of enlightenment, which of course ties into transhumanism, to which I've got a wonderful guest, Nicholson 1968, who you probably have heard of if you keep track with the Truth Movement. He's done some great research into the technology of today and how this is leading, very incrementally and gradually leading the world towards this whole mark of the beast, towards everything prophetic biblically, and how it's just gradually leading, and it's always been the purpose to gradually lead you towards the reliance on the technology to, well, Revelation says you won't be able to buy or sell without it. And we can certainly see that that is in the process of happening in the time that we're living in. And these are things we need to be aware of. So evolution, there's been a lot of people very disgruntled who perhaps believe in God, and they send their children to school, and these mainstream, the public school systems are teaching evolution and these types of things that they perhaps don't agree with. But why do you think that they are pushing things like that? There's always a reason that these things are pushed on a mainstream platform. There's always a reason that the system or the elite or the powers that be are pushing these things. In fact, there's many birds killed with one stone. I've noticed this. There's not just one reason or one agenda behind these things. There's many reasons, many fulfillments that they make of their plan in teaching these things. And with evolution, I believe one of the reasons they teach evolution and in the way that they do, one of the reasons is to make society get into the mentality that they are nothing more than animals. That they are nothing more than animals, to take them into the carnal, animalistic mindset, the sexualization. I mean, if we come from nothing more than a monkey, then why would we have morals? Why would it be a problem to you know what I mean? Just why would people have those morals anymore? Because they're being told that they come from nothing more than animals. And we know that one of the agendas, one of the prophecies in Revelation is that the whole world should turn towards the beast. Now that's happening. That's happening through the music. That's happening through the movies. The sexualization, the drug revolution, all of these things are contributing towards this animalistic behavior, the carnal mindset, the music that's becoming so machine-based. I don't know if you've heard much of the popular music of today, but it's becoming very computerized, very machine-based, and taking people into that negative, carnal, lower nature that is fulfilling these agendas that the whole world should eventually strive towards the beast, towards Satan. And very, very concerning what we're seeing. But another agenda with evolution, I believe, is the next stage in evolution. The elitists of this world believe that they can take humanity into the so-called next stage in human evolution, which is the Enlightenment. It's all to do with the New Age, third eye opening. All of those things tie into it, and the next higher consciousness. All of these totally false antichrist teachings that are driving people towards this. And we keep seeing this in productions that they'll show like an evolutionary map of man coming from a fish, like in iPet Go, coming from a fish, evolving into a higher consciousness. And that's the agenda. They want this new age, antichrist, totally antichrist of self-empowerment, self-elevation. They want this new golden age of, love, light and daisies, which is completely false. Completely false. Whenever they say love, they mean the opposite. As with everything, they turn everything upside down. And it's all about the level above human, just like the Heaven's Gate cult. That guy there for the Heaven's Gate cult was always talking about taking us to the next level above human. And in actual fact, these things aren't new. If you go back to Hitler and the Nazi Reich, you can see that there's a great book on it, The Nazi Pursuit of Evolutionary Progress. And these are not new, and it's never gone away. These agendas have never gone away. So when they say the new age of love, they actually mean the opposite. I'll tell you how false this love is. This is just how false this love is. It's the kind of love that says, if you don't follow me, if you don't follow the New Age religion, if you stand in the way of what this world wants to do, they will want you dead. Quite literally, they will want you dead. What kind of love is that? What kind of love wants you to be disposed of? Wants you to be disposed of if you stand in the way. If you stand for Christ, truly, the real Christ, if you stand for the real Christ, not the New Age Christ, because there are many false Christs, as our real Christ said, that many shall come in my name, do not follow them, many false Christs, and that is what, if you stand for the real Christ, then you will be put to death for that. Because, do you know why? Because you'll be seen as holding them back. Because you'll be seen as that you can't contribute to society because you won't go along with Lucifer's world. And that is what we're headed towards with this new age of false love. And I can see it rising in people. The people who say that they love peace, light, all this stuff, and ultimately it's not real love, it's not real care, it's not rebuking of evil, it's reveling in sin. And that's the kind of world that we're headed towards with this Luciferian New Age. And that is what they want to bring in, the quote-unquote light of Lucifer, to illuminate this world. You know, Crowley said, love is the law, love under will. Do what you want, do what thou wilt. It's a world of sin, guys. It's not real love. It's not real love. It's not real light. It's not the light of life, which is Christ. It's the blinding light of death, which is Lucifer. They will love Christians to their death. They will love Christians to their death. It's totally counterfeit. In fact, let me read a couple of quotations here just to give you some more perspective on that. This is off a New Age poster which I found. This pretty much sums it up. And I quote, "There can never be peace on earth until the fearing, oppressive human presence is removed, leaving all the natural world to control their own lives and determine their own destinies as a sovereign entity." They love nature because this is the place they want to preserve for their new age. They love the green, go green, the new age, and just like in Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, you know, nature worship, totally pagan nature worship. Let me read to you another quote. This is a quote by Aleister Crowley. This pretty much sums up this new age. And if you honestly, if you're still in the trap of thinking this is a new age of love that they're ushering in, then I really pity you, because you need to open your eyes and look at this with more discernment. Listen to this, Aleister Crowley. "Nature's way is to weed out the weak. This is the most merciful way too. At present all the strong are being damaged and their progress hindered by the dead weight of the weak limbs and the missing limbs, the diseased limbs and the atrophied limbs. The Christians to the lions." That's Aleister Crowley there, famous Satanist that lived about 100 years ago, who is also, the New Age movement are saying that Aleister Crowley is not a real Satanist. that in some way he is some kind of meaningful voice for this new age. I don't know. It's absolutely beyond me. This is a great and strong delusion. Great and strong delusion that the Bible tells us will be coming in these times, that they think this is real love, but unfortunately they will want you dead if you stand against them and their new age. It's not real love, guys. In fact, it seems to be love for anything but Christ, but the true Christ. It seems to be love for anything other than the true Messiah. And I wonder why that is. Because the demonic forces and the fallen angels and the powers and principalities hate the real Christ. They absolutely despise the real Christ. They even try and use some of our Messiah's teachings in their new age, but then as soon as it comes to the point that you say he died for your sins, they stop. They don't go that far. I wonder why. Because they give you 95% truth, and then the last 5%, which could actually see you saved, could see you seek salvation in Christ, the only way to the Father. As soon as it comes to that point, they stop. So they just see our Christ as the teachings. And this is part of the deception, because I believe there's the false Christ that will come. The great deception, the one that will pose as light and pose as Jesus. That's the great deception, and I think that basically they're just using our Christ's powerful words, and then they're going to try and lead you to the false one and attribute our Christ's words to their false one. And that's the agenda here. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to go to a song now, and after this we're going to speak to Nicholson 1968 about some of these agendas that are taking place and the technology that is leading towards that. This is a track by Destiny Lab, an absolutely fantastic group, and definitely go and check them out. This is a track called Evolve or Die. Go and check them out at destinylab.com. Evolve or Die.
Eckhart. You talk about, in an ever-changing world, a species needs to either adapt or they will die out. And then you go on to say, and I quote, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die.
There's so much to say in so little time. This is a song for those left behind, an insider's view to what's going on. If Christians are raptured away and are gone, in case of emergency, take this CD and make many copies to give away free. But first get a Bible and start reading now. The moment will come when they will not allow distribution, possession of anything Christian. You'll go underground, a secret resistance, and face persecution, imprisoned and beaten. Now is the time to make your decision, to battle his minions left on this earth, or fall for a false explanation. Prefer to be herded like sheep. The ancient delusion, the oldest of schemes, has come to conclusion. The mark of the beast from the father of lies, the angel of light, master of disguise. He's devising a plan, preparing us now, and through evolution convincing the crowds that aliens somehow are out there and down to have all of the answers, empowered to know the solution. Like indigo children, smarter than humans, more intuition, much more evolved. They're sending a vision, prepare the whole world with a false explanation. If we're to evolve, we must remove Christians. They call it the cleansing, and this is their mission.
Evolve or die refers to whether humanity survives as a species. There is an enormous awakening happening on the planet.
The age of Aquarius, ending duality, Oprah the secret, and Eckhart Tolle preach what will bring in a new age reality, based in traditions of pagan theosophy, bound to be thousands of offshoots of Crowley, students of Alice C. Bailey who follow the lies of Helena Blavatsky, radically altering, changing the pages of history, laying the groundwork forged by the tools of Lucifer, paving the way for the United Nations, a slow preparation, patiently waiting since the creation. The Garden of Eden, a planet whose placement in time is persuaded by aliens, outside invasions, abductions, and cow mutilations, creating an atmosphere ripe for the picking, with movies and Hollywood implanting trickery, mastery over the masses. The whole world collapses in panic, all desperate desperate for someone to save them. Away anyone that will answer their questions. The savior of sorts, a new age messiah. The wolf in sheep's clothing is what will transpire. The mayhem is out of control at this moment. A world full of chaos, confusion, and torment. I'm telling you, don't stop at anything. You can't afford to face life without Christ as your king. The moment might come when the song's a reality, trapped in a world where it's actually happening.
That's one of my favorite quotes that a significant portion of the Earth's population will soon recognize, if they haven't already done so, that humanity is now faced with a stark choice: evolve or die, or die, or die.
Destiny Lab on RSC Radio with Evolve or Die. I'm very pleased to welcome my guest today, Nicholson 1968, who is a prolific researcher on the transhumanist end times. Hello, Nicholson.
Hello, thank you for having me.
That's all right. Now, do you think the technology of today is headed for the mark of the beast?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Been talking about it since 1998, and those who were following me then kind of thought I was a little crazy, but here we are, 2015, they're going, uh-oh, this guy, it's not crazy. It's here.
So we're seeing the technology evolve so fast now. Just the level of intrusion which people are accepting is unbelievable. You've got the biometric data, the iris scans, the fingerprint scans. Is this worrying you at all?
It's not worrying me, but it's worrying me for the masses. Yes, it's moving so fast. Just in the last 5 years, you went from, think about it, they're wanting us, remember you were clicking computers, now you're touching them. The merger of the iron and the clay, or the merging of the technical and the flesh or whatever, notice that slow merger, that it's so slow, people don't realize it, but they're merging you with the technology.
Of course, they always do it incrementally, I assume, just to make sure people don't kind of notice what's actually coming.
Exactly. Just slowly, touch screens. Now you're touching that warmth touch. Yeah, there's no clicking anymore. So you've got that. Even the names are telling you things that, the Creator is known as I Am. That's what he told Moses. Who shall I tell them who sent me? He says, I am. And notice what the technology is called: iPhone, iPad, iLens, iRobot. They're mocking Christ. Whether you know that or not, I'm telling you, that is it in a nutshell. It's coming that way. It's just slowly incremental, so you don't, it's like a frog. You cook a frog, it's slowly, the heat's turned up until he's cooked, and he doesn't realize it. He doesn't jump out of the pot. It's slow.
So what would you say people should do who believe and are awake? Do you think people should be avoiding this, some of this technology completely? Are there limits? Because, well, have you heard of Oculus, like all this virtual reality stuff, which is quite intense in its purpose and towards the agenda? Do you think people should completely avoid certain? Is there a limit? Should you give your biometric data?
That's a good question, and let me make it clear, if you come to my website and you're new to it, or if you've been following me for years, I'm not against technology altogether. Things can be used for good, things can be used for evil. It's how far we're going to take technology that scares me, and it will try to, I hate to say this, that's prophecy. Whether I'm here or you're there, I'll say what I can, but the prophecy is going to come to pass. So to answer your question about technology is, I like to spend time with my family with no technology, sitting around a table, conversation, by the fire, reading books, whatever. That's the closeness of a family. Look what technology is doing to families, to society. It is separating us. Go to an airport and sit down. Nobody's talking to each other. They're on their phones. They're texting. Texting is a form of pre-programming humanity, of the language. You're texting. It's a whole nother language. It's computer codes. It's people say, what's going to be, the prophecy that there's going to be one language in the future. Well, if you think it's going to be English, you're sadly mistaken. It's going to be computer code. That is the one language. When everybody's plugged in, one hive mind, say whatever you want to say. So for my advice on technology, balance your life of technology. Use it to educate yourself. Use it, in a balance and a limit. Spend time with your family.
So do you think this plays into the agenda of the destruction of society, as you were saying, like the destruction of the family? Because, I mean, all these things are supposed to help with communication, but in actual fact, they seem to be driving a wedge between people.
It does. It destroys it. It's I've got, in the beginning, my daughter was upstairs texting my son who is downstairs. Are you kidding me? Come down. Well, she would say stuff in the beginning. When dinner's ready, just text me and I'll come down and eat. Are you kidding me? So my kids know now where I stand, and the phone is for emergencies only, and if you need to talk or whatever, if you get in trouble. But this whole knowing every step, and yes, I'm on Facebook now, but I've been there just because my viewers have asked me to put some stuff there so they can share it in communities. But I just really don't like technology, and I'm using it. I'm using the tools that Satan has against him. That's why I do what I do. I use the videos, I use music, whatever I do to capture really the younger generation that's coming in. Yeah,
so you describe some of these things as tools of Satan. What advice would you give to parents out there who, their children are asking for these things? What would you say? I mean, it's very difficult.
Oh, yeah, it's very difficult. They want the latest gadget, the latest, iPhone, those kind of things. I would just, for me, what I do with my kids, I limit what apps are on their phones. I weekly check their phones. Sorry, hate it. You have to be a parent, not their buddy, not their friend. I mean, you're a parent, guide them up in the way they should go. You think they're going to hate you because you check their phone or whatever, but what I found with my kids, that they kicked and they screamed in the beginning, but now they know that I love them, that I'm doing it for their safety. I care about them. I don't just send them off to their room and go watch TV, go play your games. Technology should not be a babysitter. Let me repeat that. It should not be a babysitter. You have kids, then you need to spend time with them. We all have to work, but that's part of, being a parent. You just have to be the parent with the technology and be responsible with it and limit what they see, limit TV time, whatever. There's no TV in my kids' room. None whatsoever. None. Don't care, because that's it.
Yeah, I used to hate that as a kid, I used to hate that I weren't allowed a TV in the room, and it is difficult because obviously the children, they want to be like their friends, they want to be doing what their friends do, and it's very difficult for a parent, I'm sure.
Yeah, big time peer pressure, especially here in America. I can't speak for where you're at, but definitely here, everybody's got to have the same jeans, same iPhones, and keeping up with the
So people are obviously lapping this up at the moment. People are wanting this technology. People are enjoying it. They're enjoying the trends. But do you think there will come a time when, if you don't take this next stage of technology, that you will be killed for it?
Wow, good question. My honest opinion is no. I think, I'm speaking for America right now. People right now, I'm just talking as a 46-year-old man, thus the name 1968. That's why to find a decent job and the way things are going, if you don't know computers, you're left out. Take this for instance. There's a lot of people, if you don't have a checking account, they won't hire you. So you're forced to have a checking account. See, here's the thing. People think that one day somebody's going to knock on your door and take your guns away. They're not. You know what they're going to do? They're going to pass laws to tax you having a gun so that you can't even afford to have a gun. You see the sneakiness of that? It's like he's not going to come in and say, I'm the devil, here's 666, and I'm going to implant this in you. That's just not how Satan works. That's not how the enemy works. It's deceptive over time, slow, and you're going to want it. It leads you that direction that you're wanting it, and you don't even see it coming. You mean you're just, look how far we've come now. The whole, I mean, there'll come a day where it's like, I don't want to have to actually pick up a phone and dial. So why can't I just implant this in me, and I can just say, call RSC radio and it'll dial automatically. That's very convenient for me.
Yeah, and all the technology in the home. I guess what came into my head there is it's almost like a sheepdog nipping at your heels in order to lead you ultimately into the sheep pen.
Yes, definitely. And
yeah,
deceptive.
So like with the media, it seems to be used in music videos, in TV, films, as kind of propaganda for this technology. Certainly with movies, I'm sure you've noticed just all this stuff about robots, and there's a new one that I just saw the other day coming out that's about this robot. It's the director of District 9 has made it. It's about this robot that learns the way of humans and kind of becomes like a human. It's all very strange.
Is that Califer or Caliper or something like that?
Something, yeah, I can't remember. Sorry. But,
I know exactly, and you're seeing more and more of it. I'm trying to think of the guy that was in Zorro. He's got a new one out called Adapto.
Banderas?
Yep, Banderas, same one. He's got a movie out. And here's the thing, I got to tell you this too. There's some movies that Hollywood doesn't care if it makes any money. Listen to what I'm saying. Doesn't care if it's good, bad, makes money. They don't care. And I'll tell you what, it's propaganda. Like Nicolas Cage, Left Behind, it bombed at the box office. Big whoop, they don't care. They want Left Behind, the movie, out. They want it for people to see. They don't care. It's all about propaganda. There's certain movies that they have out that they don't care if it bombs or not. It's just put in your face to have pre-programming. You can rent a movie now for $1. Now there's places that you can even download the movies with torrents, so you don't even have to go to the movies. I mean, you can just get them for free. So, you got to step back and go, then why are they putting the movies out if they're not really not making any? I mean, they're making money, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've certainly noticed that one of the many weird ways they work is just like a magician. They will demonize things, and then they'll have a secret hand that they'll be secretly inadvertently pushing the very thing that they're demonizing.
Exactly. And it's all propaganda, and a lot of people don't believe that, but you look at the patterns. There's another movie out called Ex Machina coming out. Where they build a female robot that he falls in love with. I mean, it's just more and more getting used to it, yeah.
Romanticism and sexualization of machine, I've noticed, and fallen angels and all sorts is very strange, like people engage in sexual manner with these things.
Exactly. I mean, it's, I remember when I said I've been talking for a long time about this, and in a way I'm glad finally now. I mean, we've come this far, but a lot of people, I caught a lot of flack back then, and now it's like, wow. I mean, I have people come on now that are like, Nicholson, I saw a video way back then and thought you were off the charts, crazy. And now I watch it and I get it. And that's worth it to me. It's like, okay, I know you might not see some of the stuff, and it's deep stuff sometimes, but God works that way. He shows things to people in increments so you can handle it. And as long as you keep seeking the truth and going after it, eventually you'll see it. You just have to keep going. And a lot of people get scared and they stop because it shakes up their foundation of what they were taught by the world.
Yeah, precisely. And it is a bit of you go through some stages of grief with learning some of these things, because you realise this world is not perhaps what you'd been taught or what you think it was. And I think that can be difficult for people. But just taking this propaganda further, let's go a little bit deeper now. We're going to look at the DNA tampering, Nicholson. You've looked into the third strand. Can you first explain what is the third strand?
In a human being, if you're born of a man and a woman, or I say God created, a man and a woman come together, lie together, God's spirit brings that soul forth, and another baby is born. And you're born with two-strand DNA. 22 and 22 auto-strand, they're called auto-strands. But you have an extra strand, or extra chromosome, I should say, 22 and 22. But it's really 23 and 23. The last two chromosomes are X and Y, which determines the sex, female or male. So what Yale University, where that's the home of Skull and Bones, you can actually go to their website, Yale University. You can just type in triple helix DNA. They are the leading university. Listen to what I'm saying, people. The leading university for the triple helix DNA. And what they are trying to do with mankind, or whatever you want to say, they are trying to, in a human body, what makes you human? And how do you know you're human? It's your DNA makeup. So what they're trying to do is form with computer, nanotechnology, whatever, another 22 base pair DNA that attaches to the other two strands. I know this is deep stuff, but basically a normal human being has double helix DNA, and they're trying to attach and test third strand DNA.
So why are they doing that?
Because it will be mixed with computer, nanotechnology, programmable matter that they will sell to you or tell you that we can access. So, you're learning. It's just like Transcendence with Johnny Depp. You will be able to access all of this knowledge, all of this stuff. But it's funny, when you go to their website, the two scientists that have been trying to do this, they cannot get that third strand to attach and stay to the other two strands. Now, let me break it down to you in a spiritual sense, and let's talk about the Bible, because for those who don't want to hear about scientific and they don't want to do all this, I'm going to tell you from the biblical, where it says the iron and the clay will not cleave together. It doesn't stick together. The last kingdom. That's when Christ has to return. So right there on Yale University's website, they're telling you they're trying to get something to cleave together the iron technology to cleave together with the normal God-created double helix strand. They're trying to get it to cleave together, and it's not.
So how are they going to do it? What are they going to do? Tie people down? And how are they going to?
No, they're not tie people down. Here's what I'm finding and what I'm seeing through movies and scientific communities like MIT. I have good documentation and videos of just, if you don't want to believe movies, you don't want to believe music, and you just want to go with the scientific community, I've got those videos on there. There's a section called The New Race. Actually, Microsoft has a division called the Programmable Matter Division. That's right. Microsoft has a division of people called Programmable Matter Division that they have come up with a cell that is mixed with computer technology and organic matter, or our cells, together. Think about what I'm saying. I mean, and it can reproduce. That's deep stuff. The technology is there. It's not science fiction. This is not something off of Avatar or Star Trek. This is actual stuff that is out there in the industry, that there's programmable matter that can be given instructions with airwaves and technology to whatever.
So just a complete slave once you...
Right. And it attaches. It can be liquefied because it's matter. It can be liquefied. It can be put into a vaccine. It can be sprayed into the air.
Wow.
I mean, this is not science fiction, people. It is real stuff. So what is being done is, notice, some people are going to get this, some people are not. If look at everything in society, what is gearing us is there's metals in the vaccines. There are metals in the food. There are people who believe in chemtrails, whatever you want to say. Those are barium, metal. Mankind is being geared to adapt to metal, iron. And why do you think we're getting sick? Why do you think there's more cancer? Why do you think there's more autism? Yeah, look, that's what's attacking the temple of God, whether people know it or not. That's what they just think. A bunch of people are sitting around a table planning this. There's people that truly believe they're helping mankind, but they're hurting us. And let me show you the example. Let's take GMO food, and let's talk about corn. People that don't know the spiritual end of what's going on, they say, what's wrong with making a corn that is preserved and lasts a lot longer and it doesn't rot? Okay? From their standpoint, they think they're doing good. But in the long run, the GMO preservatives cause cancer now, and it's hurting us. It's killing us. And that's what's going on from today's standards of people that don't know. They don't know they're harming. You know what I mean? They're not sitting home and like, well, I'm going to sit around and I'm going to kill people. No, they don't look at it that way.
So obviously we know that the genetic modification of food is going on right now with Monsanto and everything. But what you're saying is the genetic tampering of human beings is not something in the future. It's not an agenda for the future, but that's actually happening as we speak.
It's in the process. I know there's people out there that live by vaccines. They preach, you got to have a vaccine. You got to have a vaccine. Well, go ahead. I'm just telling you right now. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to tell you a little secret. I have no vaccines. I have no flu shots. I have not been inoculated at all. Okay? And I'm going to tell you a pattern I've seen. People that do not have metal in them and don't eat metal food. I mean, I eat organic food. Why do you think I see what I see? You think I'm more holy? You think I'm more righteous? No, I'm not. I have less metal in me than normal people. And that is a big deal. I mean, I'm telling you, there's more to that than you think. That's why the Illuminati use sound. That's why Satan is prince of the air waves. Things have to do with sound, metal, and communication and jamming. I mean, I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm working on a video now called The Shape I'm In.
Interesting, because the way Saturn ties into this, which I've spoke about before and will do again. I mean, Saturn is associated with heavy metals. So
Yes.
Just like satanic rock, lead, heavy metal, Led Zeppelin.
Exactly. And Led Zeppelin sang a song, Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
And And see, that's part of what's going on. That's all that's going on is the elites, whatever you want to say, they're trying to get to heaven or build a stairway to heaven.
Just like Tower of Babel.
Yeah, another way than what we've been shown. Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and that's come as a man, die as a man. And as long as you do that.
Yeah, well, continuing on the subject of genetic tampering, if you look back, way back in the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis, you can read about the Nephilim. Now, from my experience, the church doesn't speak very candidly about what the Nephilim are or the true nature of the Nephilim. Nicholson, can you shed some light? What are the Nephilim?
Yeah, I do want to say something too to the listeners. And I think we've talked about it before, but I want to say it again. And what I've learned over the years, and by all means, I don't know everything. I'm learning every day, trying to learn and increase in knowledge of what I've been shown. But one thing I have learned is the masses are wrong. If the masses are doing it, it's wrong. Just flat out, the masses killed Christ. It's just wrong. So here's what you got to ask yourself. If you go into a church and you ask everybody who believe in aliens, everybody, or not believe in aliens, how many people know about aliens, everybody's going to raise their hand. But then you go into the church and you say, how many people have heard of Nephilim? Or, maybe 10 people, at best. So that should tell you something. There's an agenda with the alien thing. Because the Nephilim thing isn't being pushed. So from there, if you don't know the Nephilim story, then you can't understand anything else. You can't get to where I'm at. You can't get to where RSE's at. If you don't know about Nephilim and the tampering, you're not going to get there. So there's a prophecy, and everybody, most traditional Christians know that Christ will return like in the days of Noah. So then you got to ask yourself, what was going on in the days of Noah? What was so important about days of Noah? And everybody gives you this. They say, well, people were drinking and smoking and being merry and earthquakes were going on and they were just partying and sinning and whatever. Look, if that was the case, he would already have returned again. It's so bad. And if you don't think so, okay. So you got to go deeper. And this is what you asked me the question. So you got to ask yourself, why the days of Noah, and why was Noah picked for his generations, which that's the word. He was picked for his generations. And that's why Genesis is about genes, Genesis, genes, DNA. He was picked for a reason because what was going on back then was corrupting mankind. Not corrupting them like bad influence. Oh, they're just bad. No, really physically tampering with mankind. They were tampering with the animals, everything. And that's what it speaks of in the book of Jasher, which is another part of the deception. Is in the King James book or the 66 books, it's even referenced. Isn't it written in the book of Jasher, in Timothy, and also in Samuel? And if you don't know what's in that book, then you don't understand anymore. But when you read the book of Jasher, there's parts in there that back then they were provoking the Lord and messing with tampering with DNA.
Well, so yes, for the benefit of the people out there who haven't heard too much about the Nephilim, what are the Nephilim?
The Nephilim were offspring of the fallen angels, watchers, whatever you want to call them, but the fallen ones that were here to watch over mankind that fell, which what it speaks of in Genesis 6:4, that came in to the daughters of men. And that's been taught different ways. Some people believe it was the sons of Seth or whatever, but notice the wording. It says the daughters of men. Now, if other men came into them, it wouldn't be said that way. So whatever came into the daughters of men were not human. They were not another creation of there were not another form of man. It was something different than that. And some of them, it's been translated sons of God over time, but the true manuscripts say Nephilim.
Right, so just like in the Book of Enoch, we're told about the Nephilim. Do you think these are comparative to, for example, to like the orcs in Lord of the Rings? I
do. And they're kind of telling you, and they know about it. They're just telling it in a different way, to a certain degree, this information. But the Nephilim were the offsprings of a fallen angel and the daughters of men, because see, here's the thing, you got to step back, RC, and I know you see this, but this is for the listeners. Step back. If the enemy knows that who's coming to kill him, okay, that person is Jesus Christ. And in order for him to kill me, he has to come in a pure vessel. Okay, not an offspring. See, why does he not have, notice why the vessel has to be a virgin. It cannot be an offspring from another human, whatever you want to say. Okay, so you're the enemy. You know that your enemy has to come in a pure vessel. So what do? You taint humanity. You mess with it so that your enemy cannot get to you. Do you understand? See, God sent Christ to correct the problem, and he did. It is finished. That's why he came as a man. He had to die as a man to overcome death. For y'all that don't know the story of Christ, in a nutshell, is he came as a man, died as a man on the cross to show you the way, and he overcame death. And when he gave up his spirit at the end, he said, "It is finished. I did what I had to do, and I showed you how to do this thing."
So what you're saying is that the world's a stage, and this whole thing has been about them trying to stop the way the Father was going to rescue us.
Exactly. It is.
Genetically, yeah.
But yeah, and it's also a test. It's a testing ground. That's why you have to pick up your cross and follow him. But not to get sidetracked, we'll go back to the Nephilim, but I want to tell you about, I was saying about the people that think they're trying to help.
Yeah, yeah.
Not. Okay, let's take the story of, remember when Jesus told them that he had to die, and Peter jumped up and said, I don't want them to kill you, Lord. And he called out and he said, "Get behind me, Satan." And see, he thought he was doing the right thing. He did not want them to kill his Lord. But his ways, the next verse after that is, Jesus says to him, "What you believe is in the ways of man. What I am doing is the ways of God. I got to do this thing. I got to die." See, and that's where we get, it's a fine line in this world, is sometimes what you think is the right way is not really the right way. And that's very, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what I'm doing on my channel is I put it out there. The people that are led to it find it, okay, for the future, whatever. But I can't stop prophecy. I can't stop it, and I'm not going to stop it. I just do my part. You see what I'm saying? Where people get in trouble is try to stop and go and murder transhumanism and the people that are doing transhumanism. And that's not our job. That's God's job. He'll take care of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and of course this ties into adds new weight to whoever loves his life in this world shall lose it, which sounds harsh on the surface, but ties exactly into what you're saying. We can't save our flesh.
Right. And those verses, if you don't know about transhumanism, that verse you probably in a way don't understand is those who try to gain their life lose it, and the ones who lose their life gain it. Then you start to understand, this life is really temporary. This isn't our home. And I said it before, is the caterpillar will become a butterfly, whether it knows it or not. The problem with evil men and the elite is they want to try to build a better caterpillar. They want to build a better man. But you know what I mean? Quit messing with it. It's okay. Let it run its course. and it's finished.
So,
and let it do, yeah.
well, what do Christians and followers of Christ do? Because we're in this world. We're not of this world, but we're in this world. And what do we do? What can we even avoid?
Oh man, it's very hard for those that have children. See, I don't know, because it varies from state to state over here, is in some states, your kids, if they go to school, they have to take vaccinations. Man, I don't know what to tell you, but my kids I'm luckily in a state where they give them the option that for religious purposes, if they don't want to take the vaccines, they don't have to. Flu shots, I wouldn't take them. I'm just telling you. I'm speaking from experience. I'm a 46-year-old man. I will tell you this. There's certain things, if you ask me and I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. But I will tell you about the things that I do know. So as a Christian, I would, if you get fillings in your teeth even, don't put mercury in your filling. I mean, anything to do with metal, stay away from it. Stay away from boxed food. Try to eat the most fresh food you can. And here's a dirty little secret. I'm going to share a little secret with you. People say, well, I can't afford organic food. I'm going to give you a little hint. When I was eating bad, I had to buy more food because it was junk food, and it took a lot more to fill me up, okay? Now that my wife cooks me organic food, I don't have to eat as much food. So like if I have an organic piece of chicken or whatever, I don't have to eat 3 pieces of Kentucky Fried Chicken versus an organic chicken that tastes better, and you don't have to eat as much because it's more nutrition in it and it's more filling. So that's the dirty little secret people don't understand, is it's not going to, I'm telling you, it's not going to cost you more to eat organically than buying junk, because you're going to have to buy more junk food to fill yourself up, and then you'll be fat and miserable and all of those things. So that's just a little side note with Christians out there, or non-Christians in general, just people. Your body is a temple of God. Put good stuff into it when you can, fresh foods, things that don't have pesticides on them and metals, because see, that's what's causing everything. I mean, you don't even have to be a religious person. Step back and go, why is all this happening? And it has to do with metals. It has to do with stuff that's not meant for us.
So just to tie this all together, they're trying to take us into the next stage of human evolution.
Right. And they have to, and we've talked about this offline, there has to be another big event. When that is, I don't know, but it will involve aliens, whatever it may be, a fake alien invasion, I don't know, but there has to be another big event to get to the next stage of what they want to bring in. Look what 9/11 did to us. Just the little 9/11. Look where we're at now, what it's brought in to this world and the spiritual realm.
Well, and this ties into the Vatican, who are pushing the alien agenda. They've come out and said that they're looking for aliens and things like this. With the Vatican, I want to quickly move on to the Vatican just before we finish our talk here. The Vatican, the Pope switched over just a few years ago, which was quite an unprecedented, and I believe it could even be the Black Pope that we have now. Why do you think this is happening at this time?
It's what you speak of. It's part of the agenda to move forward, that aliens do exist. I've got a video up. They actually have a telescope. If you break down the letters of what it's called Lucifer. I don't know if you know that or not. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So it's part of the bigger agenda of the whole thing. Want everybody to believe in aliens. Whether they're going to push it as they're the saviors of the world, or this technology has come from them to save us, whatever it may be, we're coming to that point and stage here soon. I mean, I really believe that's why I have a big push for the alien thing. People always say, well, this universe is too big. We can't be the only ones here or whatever. I'm not going to answer that. I'm just going to tell you this is in 2 Thessalonians 2:11, I believe, God sends a strong delusion. Listen to me, people. God sends a strong delusion for people that will not believe the truth. He sends it, not Satan, God. And you need to read that verse. You need to mull it over in your head, whatever you want to do with that. So if you don't know about Nephilim, you don't know about Genesis 6:4, you don't know the story of Enoch, you don't know Jasser, you need to, because it unlocks a lot of the stuff and connects a lot of the dots that are going on, of what is going on. It is a battle. It is a spiritual battle of two bloodlines, period. One game, everything else is smoke and mirrors, and the enemy will use deception, whether that's through technology, whatever it is, to get to their final agenda, and that's it. And it's the same old thing, and what's going to happen again, remember in the garden, you partake of the wrong tree, and Satan said, you surely will not die. You surely will not die. And he says, God just don't want you to become like him. And it's going to happen again. Mankind is going to partake of the wrong tree, transhumanism, and try to live forever another way, and it hadn't changed a bit. Satan is whispering to evil men, you surely will not die.
Yeah, because in Revelation it says that men will seek death and not find it. That's
right, because they will be in a transhuman digital form that can't die. The only way it can die is burn up. And guess what prophecy is? It was a flood last time. The next time, we're going to burn up. It's going to be burnt up. So and metal, and it'll be in a lake of fire. Metal will disintegrate.
Interesting point. And with that strong delusion, just to touch on that, I mean, we see the world is constantly coming together and say we need to unite religions, we need to unite as one, which essentially is the New World Order. Do you think this is part of the strong delusion? Like for example, you got the rise of Chrislam, and people thinking that these things are good for them, for the world. But of course, Christ came not to bring peace on earth, as he said.
Exactly. And people don't know that verse, and they need to read that. I come to bring a sword. You need to read that. I do, and I think. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm a tolerable person to a certain degree, but the agenda is using. Let's just all get along and be tolerable and peaceful, and they're using that to play on people, and let's all come together. That sounds all good and dandy, but look, man, there's only one way. and that's what it says. I'm sorry. I mean, and for those who don't know me, my followers know me and subs. Look, I studied everything. I went looking for truth in the beginning. I looked for Buddha, New Age, Masons. I mean, I studied everything. But here's what you got to remember the art of war. The number one thing you got to know about art of war, the number one thing in the book that was written is know your enemy. So the enemy, to me, when I was studying everything, there was one thing that was being attacked, and it was Christ. That's it, fellas. I'm sorry, guys and girls. When I studied everything, look, Illuminati ain't attacking Buddha. They're not attacking New Age stuff. They're just not. Everything in their movies, everything in the music, the scientific community, it is about the temple of God and Christ. And I didn't just come to that conclusion because that's the way I was, the way I was raised or pushed or, anything. I just studied everything and said, look, Creator, wherever you're at, lead me to the truth of what's going on. I just want to know what's going on. And the elites of this world and the rulers of this world are anti-Christ, period. They're not anti-Buddha, anti-Muslim, anti-cat. I mean, it's about Christ.
Well, exactly. And same with the magician, like I spoke of before. You've got to look what they're doing with their hidden hand. And there's definitely a push against Jesus Christ. If we're really, truly honest, there's definitely a push against the Christ that died for our sins and rose again.
Yes.
Not the new. There's a new age Christ. Christ said there's many Christs that will come, false Christs who will deceive many. Don't follow them. But there's definitely a push against that one true Christ that walked this earth 2,000 years ago. And Nicholson, 1968, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problem, and I enjoyed it myself. Keep up the good work, and anytime you need me back or whatever. And also a shout out to my subs and followers. Thank you very much for your support. And I try to put stuff out there and keep the website going and good information. Use it as a tool, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Go and check out Nicholson 1968 on YouTube. He does some phenomenal work on transhumanism and the end times. It can sometimes be like finding our way through an absolute maze with this information, and certainly people like Nicholson produce work that really helps us to discern these things and see clearer through the deception that is certainly just around the corner.